Monday morning over at Court Street Cafe in Port Allen. Please go ahead and like and share this video today on Sports Shorts Daily presented by LeBears. We're going to get into talking LSU shocked the world, beat Mississippi State. Not only did they win, they swept the series at Mississippi State. They're not a great team, but still a wins on the road and sweep a team. That's impressive. So don't look now. LSU looks like they might have figured some things out on the baseball diamond. Scotty Scheffler wins the Masters. He was dominant, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And outside of a double bogey on the final hole when he had a giant lead, he was almost perfect all weekend long. Looking forward to talking to Buzzy Heidel on Saturday on Sports Shorts Radio. We'll talk to him about his experience this week as a gallery guard. Also, we've got the play-in game for the Pelicans on Wednesday. That's going to be hopefully a sold-out crowd, 8:30 in the Blender. They're a 5-point favorite over San Antonio. The Pelicans beat San Antonio. Then they'll have to take on the winner of the Clippers and the Timberwolves on Friday, either in Los Angeles or Minnesota. And then if they win that, now they're officially in the playoffs. Also, the spring game for LSU football right around the corner. It'll be here before you know it, April the 23rd. And that's going to be an important spring game because there's so many new faces that you're going to want to watch, particularly at the quarterback position. And so that'll be a well-attended spring game. Haskins' tragic death over the week, Friday night, Saturday morning, hit by a dump truck on the side of the road in Florida. Just an absolutely shocker. Joe Burrow, a former friend and teammate of his at Ohio State, has reacted. The whole NFL world has reacted when Dwayne Haskins, at only the age of 25, passes away. And it reminded me of, Eric Candlestick's death. I thought immediately to people in the likes of a Wally Pontiff Jr. who died way too soon. And it's always a shocker when someone that young passes away. But what does that mean for the Steelers and whatnot? We'll talk about that and a whole lot more. But first, let's bring in TK, Tommy Chrysan, over at Court Street Cafe in Port Allen. And thanks to Kirk and Chance and everybody watching us. Please like and share this video. What was your takeaway, Tommy, of LSU baseball this weekend against Mississippi State? Raging Cajuns, by the way, went on the road and swept Arkansas State up there. Alan Dunn, by the way, the pitching coach at Arkansas State. Things not going very well for Arkansas State this year. They're hot garbage. But LSU on the road to Mississippi State, this is a giant rivalry. And when you look at the history of this rivalry, LSU's now, I think, Tommy, won 13 of the last 15 series, which is incredible.
Yeah, it really is, and of course, this is not the same team that won the national championship last year. But, however, Ronnie, it's the first time since 2003 that Mississippi State got swept at home by an SEC team. So, it just doesn't happen. So, great job by LSU to get it done. You got the first game when you were down to your last strike. You score 4 runs, and then, pitching staff did a job out of the bullpen behind Hilliard's outstanding performance on Friday night. You get that first one the way they did it, you go, okay, good. Then they get the second one, and then you're saying time to bring out the brooms. Let's sweep. They get it done, sweeping Mississippi State, moving to 7-5 in SEC play, and the only team ahead of them, they get to play this week up in Fayetteville, Thursday, Friday, Saturday series because of Easter Sunday. So big win. A lot of guys did a lot of great stuff at the plate. Paul Gervais, I believe he's the closer now. I mean, I don't think that's a secret. And Hilliard did what he had to do, 5+ innings. And, to think about Hilliard, he reaches a point it's time to get him out. Jay Johnson made some good, timely moves with all of the pitchers who came in and got the job done. They got some punch-outs with guys on base, which is always a big plus. Hey, huge week. I don't think anybody saw it coming that they'd get all 3, but they did. And on the road, it's big for LSU baseball. So now the thing is, okay, you got to turn the page on that. Can you play Lamar tomorrow night, get a non-conference win, then go up to Fayetteville where it's going to be very tough?
Mississippi State, I think, is doing what LSU football did, after they won the national championship in 2019. They took a victory lap this year. The whole state of Mississippi was going – it was excited and, patting them on the back and getting the T-shirts and doing all the banquets and, buying them drinks. And of course, that mixed with a couple of arm injuries has made them not very good this year. Mississippi State And I don't care that they're not very good. A win's a win's a win. You go on the road in the SEC and you sweep a series. I mean, that's fantastic. I don't care who you play, but it's amazing from one year to the next how Mississippi State has fallen off, and they still have some of the pieces from a year ago. But they're hitting, under 270. They're pitching ERAs over 5. That combination is not very good. I think there's a little bit of maybe resting on their laurels from last year. And as Chance pointed out, that the pitching this weekend from a bullpen standpoint was the best we've seen all year long. The story of the weekend, no doubt. And I thought, Jay, as much as I can't stand the slow games and all the pitch and change visits and the mound visits and all that stuff, which slows it down terribly, I thought he did a good job of knowing when to take guys out and put guys in for the most part this weekend. He was perfect.
Yeah, big weekend for LSU, and it's one of those weekends where, as we get further down the schedule, down the road, might look back and say, boy, that was a big spark for this team. Some lineup changes when they got there Friday night, and then the bullpen, as Chance said, did a great job. So we'll see what happens going forward. You got to forget that and address the next game.
So the Tigers, after a big sweep, they find themselves, how about this, Tommy, second in the SEC West, 1 game behind Arkansas. And, oh, by the way, Arkansas hosting LSU next weekend in Fayetteville. So we'll learn a lot about Arkansas, who, oh, by the way, lost 2 out of 3 this weekend to Florida in Gainesville. And, obviously LSU won 2 out of 3 against Florida in Gainesville. The Tigers find themselves tied with with Auburn for the same record, but they beat Auburn 2 out of 3. So because of that, the Tigers and Arkansas is the showdown marquee matchup of the weekend. And as you saw right there, Kirk Paul put it up, no errors in 2 out of 3 games. But do we get a Buzzy 72.6 update? We will on Saturday, Craig. We will on Saturday on Sports Shorts Radio. Buzzy will join us and give us an update on his week at the Masters. But I'm pretty sure he gave Scheffler an attaboy champ as he was walking off 18. But this was a different LSU baseball team. They pitched consistently as a unit. You saw a lot of guys used 2 and 3 times over the weekend. You saw that the offense came. The main thing was the defense, 2 games without errors, although they did make up for it with 1 where they had 3. But this was a different team. And, oh, by the way, still no Milazzo, and they were able to hang in there without Milazzo late in the game for defensive purposes. When they get him back, things are going to be better. They moved Thompson from second back to short, put Doty over to second base. And so I think that's where you got to stay with Thompson over there. You shook up the lineup a little bit. Pearson was amazing. You saw Stevenson getting some opportunity. So, less Dugas, more of those guys. So there's some competition right now in that dugout for playing time, no question about it. And Jay Johnson's not worried about hurting feelings, and he doesn't care about what you did last year. It's about what are you doing this year. We're seeing that with the lineup over the weekend. Tigers taking on Lamar on Tuesday. There's a little storyline always when you play Lamar, right, TK?
Yeah, you got Will Davis, a former Tiger player, longtime assistant coach, and his father, Randy Davis, obviously recruited you to LSU and coached with Skip Bertman for a while. So be a fun deal. I know there's some rain scheduled for tomorrow, but it looks like it's later, like 9, 10 p.m. from the latest thing I saw. Now we all know that could change. So, the Lamar Cardinals back into the Southland. They did the WAC thing, left the Southland, went to the WAC for this year. They remember the WAC as we speak, but they're coming back to the Southland next year. So a little jumping around there. But, Will Davis has done a good job with the Lamar program. And, the Southland's a good baseball conference, and he's coming back to it. So going to be a challenge for LSU tomorrow night.
There's going to be a few Lamar players that play for the Baton Rouge Rougarou this summer. I've talked to Will, and we'll have some of his players and maybe some signees as well. And a large part of that is because in the summer college baseball world, when you're a Lamar or a Northwestern State, and oh, by the way, Lamar staying in the Southland Conference, which is a cool story that we'll get into in a big way.
They're coming back. They're coming back.
So they were in the WAC this year, and then they've already announced last week that they're leaving the WAC, coming back to the Southland Conference. They had a miserable year in the WAC in football. They didn't win a game in basketball in the league, and they can compete in baseball, but it doesn't make any sense with the travel expenses and everything to take on the WAC teams. Are all over, and it's a level that's just too high above Lamar right now. They fit in perfectly in the Southland Conference. The Southland Conference needs them. They need the Southland Conference, and it's got tremendous rivalries. And obviously, them and McNeese is a big rivalry. And I think Lamar thought of themselves as bigger than the Southland, and they're realizing that for right now, at least for the time being, that's right where we need to be. So good news for the Southland Conference. Lamar coming back as early as this fall. They'll be participating this fall in football back in the deal. But let's see. Kirk Paul saying the management of the pitching in such a way you can still use them for 2 or 3 games. I think they found the secret sauce. Yeah, a lot of guys just 2/3 of an inning, 1 inning at the most, and they were using them 2 and 3 times over the weekend. That's all fine and dandy if you got guys that can do it and their stuff doesn't fall off from one to the other. What did you think about Raiselman? How the crowd was getting on him with the toe taps over the weekend. I think that's something we're going to see a lot more of, right?
Yeah, you mentioned that on Sports Shorts Radio. That's going to fly. Arkansas is going to be counting it out this weekend, Thursday, Friday, Saturday series. They'll be doing it if Raiselman gets in, which you'd think he will at some point. So, have a little fun at the ballpark, I guess.
Yeah, I like that. At Texas A&M, a lot of times they'll call out, tap, touch, whatever when you mess with your bat and gloves, and I also do the most famous ball four. When you get the 3-0 count, they'll call ball four, and then they keep calling out the number until you throw a strike.
Yeah, I've heard them say like ball 6, ball 7. It's funny as can be. And if you're pitching, I promise you that has an effect.
Yeah, because they're saying it the whole time. Ball four. So and Raiselman was getting a little. I thought the second time up, he got a little too emotional. He was too caught up in jawing with the fans, too caught up, and he didn't throw well, and they had to take him out of the game. But the thing about Raiselman, he's either on or he's off. He's either going to throw strikes or he's not, and pretty quickly. As soon as he walked the guy, hit the next one, you got to get him out of there, and they did.
Well, and I would say this to Raiselman, one of the oldest cliches of the book: you got to ignore the noise. You got to block it out. You can't let them know you got to you. I'm sure Coach Johnson and the staff will address that with him.
So LSU baseball taking on Lamar. We'll get a chance to see them in action against former Tiger Will Davis tomorrow night at the Box, and then a big series in Fayetteville, a back-to-back road series. That's a quirk in the schedule this year. Masters, Scotty Scheffler wins the Masters, Tommy, and what a 56 days it's been for Scheffler. He didn't win a tournament on the PGA till 2 months ago. Now he's won 4, including the first major of the year. And not only did he win it, Tommy, he looks like the number 1 player in the world by a landslide right now.
Well, you said it. I mean, 60 days ago, he's just another guy on the tour, and you maybe heard of him, you maybe didn't, you maybe saw him hit a shot or two, but no. So he has just unbelievable change in a 2-month window, and he's a Masters champion. He picked up $2.7 million for winning the Masters. That was the payout of this year's purse to the winner. Number 1 player in the world coming in. He got it done. Couple little nervous moments on Sunday, but it never got too hairy, and he finished it off and got the job done. His life changes forever. He's a 4-time winner on the tour. He's a major winner, and he's won the Masters golf tournament, the green jacket thing forever. Keep in mind, he's only 25 years old. Might hang around for a while.
The thing about Scotty Scheffler is you got to love the humility of him. He just seems like a down-to-earth, good old boy. He's married to his college sweetheart. He's a big Christian guy, does Bible studies, all that stuff. He seems a little aw shucks. He's not that, I think, enamored by his success. You could tell that by just, watching him and his body language and how he reacts. And he's not, like he said, I'm just going to go home and rest and maybe celebrate with a few people. So, that mentality and that, that just kind of humility tells me one of 2 things. One, either the spotlight is going to be so bright, it could potentially swallow him up because it might be too much because everybody's going to want to know everything about him. And now his life has changed forever. Or 2, he just wants to play golf. He just wants to play golf and have a few friends and have a good wife, and that's it. It's all that. And so that kind of guy could just go on to dominate because he's not trying to, make the most money in the world. He's not trying to endorse every product. He's not trying to be a superstar. He just wants to win golf tournaments. And he seems like he's that kind of guy to me, that he's not impressed by a whole lot. He's not going to want for a whole lot. He just wants to be good.
Well, another cute thing, amazing thing, Clayton Kershaw wins the World Series last year. Matthew Stafford wins the Super Bowl. He wins the Masters, not at the same time, but they're all from the same high school in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. That's kind of a cool thing when you think about it. That school's going to have to put some extra signs up and stuff, in their gym or at their ballpark or whatever, or in their football stadium. So that was cool. But I agree with you. He seems to have that right mentality because he didn't crumble. He didn't crumble, in this tournament. Now, I don't know if you read the story. He cried all morning Sunday. Told his wife he didn't know if he was ready for this because tee time wasn't until 2:50 p.m. Augusta time. And he was nervous. He didn't know if he was worthy of all this. And then, he deferred to the Lord and to his wife and said he went out there and got it done. So there was pressure. There was stress that he revealed much after the fact. Another thing, I saw an interview this morning with Nick Faldo was on Dan Patrick, and they were talking about Tiger Woods. Imagine that. And Nick Faldo, after the tournament, asked Tiger Woods, said, hey, on a scale of 1 to 10, what was your pain level in your leg? He said, way above 10. Now, he didn't say that during the tournament. Remember, we talked on Sports Shorts Radio. He kind of dodged that question when asked about the leg. But after, he said on a scale of 1 to 10, it was way above 10, the pain level. He has committed at this point to playing the Open at St. Andrews, where he's won before, and that's a much flatter golf course, significantly flatter than Augusta. So, so that whole story's there. But look, I want to talk about Scotty Scheffler. We can get to Woods later. Rory McIlroy had an incredible final round, holding out in the bunker at 18, and then Morikawa holed out in the bunker right after him on the same hole. They were paired together, so there was some excitement. And I can't wait to have Buzzy on Sports Shorts Radio this Saturday with the gallery guard stories. And he had a lot of good ones last year. Remember, he looked up and Nick Saban was standing a couple of people away from him last year. Right. So I can't wait to hear from Buzzy. That'll be this Saturday, 10 to 12, obviously, Sports Shorts Radio. And while I'm mentioning that, Hold the Rope Radio will go 1 to 3 this Saturday because of Easter being on Sunday, kind of like we did Super Bowl weekend. Skip Bertman and I will go Saturday 1 to 3, 1 hour after the conclusion of Sports Shorts Radio. And we'll put that out on Facebook and make sure, but help spread the word on that.
By the way, we'll go back to LSU baseball for a minute because I want to read this comment from Craig Schilling. Bill Frank has said on the radio that Ron Polk was on the, was talking and said he wants to that Jay Johnson was talking to Ron Polk, and Jay Johnson told Ron Polk, the former Mississippi State head coach, that he wants to limit relievers to 30 pitches so he can bring them back-to-back days. Polk liked the strategy, but this is causing the long games. Let me just point this out to you. On Sunday, or in a 13-3 victory over Mississippi State, where LSU and Mississippi State combined to use 2 pitchers, the game time was only 2 hours and 49 minutes. On Saturday, which was the longest game of the weekend, it was 3:25, and on the first game, it was 3:16. I can live with a 3-hour game, and I can live with an occasional 3:15 game if there's a lot of things going on. The 3:25 is unnecessary in a 5-3 game or it was a 4-3 game. So the 3:25 is, but. And here's the thing that Jay does. It's not the pitching changes. It's not, obviously you see that 2 hour and 49-minute game when there were 8 pitchers used on Sunday. So you can, and double digits scored by LSU. So you can obviously have games that are under the 3-hour window. It's the way he does the pitching changes. There's 2 things that Jay does that, I love the guy and I think he's gonna be a great coach. It just drives me crazy because, time is valuable, right? And it just slows and it kills the momentum. One, he's given signals in the dugout left and right to hitters, even sometimes when there doesn't need to be a signal given, and in my opinion. And 2, and so that takes time and people to turn, and they're getting signals in situations where it should just be hit. And then the other thing is that when he does make the pitching changes, he sends the catcher out. The catcher stands on the mound until the umpire finally gets tired, makes the long walk. Then the catcher comes back. And then when the catcher comes all the way back to the plate, Then Jay will slowly walk to the mound. He'll talk to the guy for a long period of time until the umpire comes and gets him, and then he makes the move. Oh, by the way, the whole time the pitcher's standing in the dugout down in the bullpen like this. They're not even throwing. They're like ready to go. They've been ready to go. So if you know you're going to make a pitching change, how about we just walk out, point, and the guy comes in? For whatever reason, that's his system, and that's the part that's killing me. That's the part that's slowing things down. You do that 5-6 times a game. You call timeout to talk to the hitter in the on-deck circle, which he does a couple times a game. You give all the signals from every pitch, even sometimes when it's 13-3 and we're still giving a signal to a hitter. Like all of those things is what adds up and adds 15 extra minutes to a ball game and slows the momentum. It's not even the time, Tommy. It's just it's a momentum killer. That's why you heard all the people booing. I'm booing on the TV. Mississippi State fans are booing. I get it. It's there. Who cares? But I'm watching and booing, going, come on, man, let's go. So we got 56 of these, and if they're all 3.5 hours long, my God, So
he stopped from throwing the ball around. That's not what slows it up. Because when you strike a guy out, you throw it around, it takes that long for the guy to walk from the on-deck circle, fix his bat and gloves to get in the box. That's not really – plus, I always like the idea of throwing it around. I'm going to throw a question out to you and everybody that's listening. How many times do you see them make a bad throw when they throw it around after the strikeout? 1 out of 500 times, okay? So that's you keeping your guys loose. You got them confident. They're moving their feet when they're throwing it around. I mean, that's not what's taking the game too long. So, hopefully they can, the pitch and change thing, you hit the nail on the head. That's what's really stretching that clock out. And I'm like you. I can take 3:15, 3:20, especially if the game's close late. You got more decisions to make than if it's 13-3. You don't have as many decisions to make. Throw the ball over the plate, get the bus going, let's get out of here. So I agree with you.
3-hour game, that's the max. That's what Kirk Ball's saying. Come on, Ronnie, it's weekend. Crack a beer open and enjoy it. I got Rougarou season tickets to sell. Kirk, I got to get on it. By the way, go to brrougarou.com, brrougarou.com, and we've got $100 season ticket family 4-pack. That's 4 people to every home game this summer, June and July in Baton Rouge, minor league baseball with college baseball players, and it's only $1 a ticket. You can't beat that. All right, TK, let's do just a quick little thought on this. We'll talk more on this on Wednesday morning. But the Pelicans, 5-point favorite against San Antonio. They haven't played their best the last couple of games, probably kind of looking ahead a little bit. But 5-point favorite over San Antonio. And then if they win, they go on the road Friday to either Los Angeles or Minnesota, take on the Clippers and Wolves. Where are you leaning right now with this?
Well, this is a team that started the season 1-12, and me and everybody else is ready to say, okay, let's just get to the end of this. But Willie Green, addition of McCollum, been big. Now they're in the playoff game. Nobody would have dreamed that a couple of months ago. So let's give them credit. Now, they lost the last 2 games this weekend to Memphis and Golden State, but that was like nothing but backups playing because after Saturday night, they guaranteed themselves the home game Wednesday night. Now, it's not till an 8:30 tip because of TV, and you're right, Pelicans are a 5-point favorite. Man, I got to feel like, playoff game at home, late start, should be able to get a good crowd into the building. And, my early call, we'll talk about it more Wednesday, is you got to like the Pelicans -5.
I think the Pelicans win the first one, lose the second one. I think that's how it's going to go. But I would love to see just a jammed up, sold out crowd in New Orleans in the Blender, pack the house, and it's the least I think the fans can do to give an attaboy to this team that didn't mail it in, and a front office and a coaching staff that didn't mail it in, made a few changes, and here they are, and they're going to be a team to watch next year. They're going to add a few pieces, and I guarantee you, preseason-wise, they'll be predicted to be a top 6-7 team in the West next year after the way they finished the last couple of months and the trades that they made. Spring football game, mark it on your calendar, April the 23rd. Do we know a time on that, TK?
I don't know a time. I got the thing about press credentials, which I can't go. I'll be working a Capital Area USSSA tournament. But I'm sure it's on the website, I'm guessing, because it's probably going to be on the SEC Network app or something. But, yeah, I've been reading all the stories out of spring football practice about the offensive lineman, the Campbell kid from up in Neville. They're talking about he may start at left tackle. Coach Kelly's been impressed with him. And, some other stories. There was a great article about Jaden Daniels, the transfer from Arizona State, which I read and seemed like a good thing, and he was promised nothing. He was told he'd have a chance to compete for the job. One other thing, Brandon Berrio, who we had on Hold the Rope Radio, he's been like the SID for gymnastics. He's now the full-time social media guy for LSU football. That's something Brian Kelly wanted when he got the job. He wanted one person to do just football social media. And Brandon Berrio, who started as a student worker in the communications office and has been a full-time employee for 5 or 6 years, he did a great job on Hold the Rope Radio last night talking about that and Brian Kelly and, the cult, the way the mindset has changed in the building. And, I'm following all the stuff. Chance says he thinks the spring game is at 1 o'clock. We'll double-check that. And I'll make sure I have that info for Wednesday.
Yeah, happy for Brandon. Known him for years. Does a great job. All right, so the other thing on the 23rd, by the way, Missouri takes on LSU in baseball, either noon, I think a noon start, noon or 1 o'clock on that one for LSU baseball. So that you'll go to an LSU baseball game, and then you'll go to the spring game. I'm guessing will be after.
Okay, I just looked it up. It is a 1 o'clock start for spring football on Saturday the 23rd.
So that means that baseball,
correct, 1 o'clock.
So baseball and spring game at the same time, which is a little odd.
And
usually
that's a LSU baseball reunion weekend too.
Let me look here. LSU baseball schedule, just because I think I'm working that game actually. Yeah, I know I am. I'm doing that.
That's a reunion weekend for the 25 years of the 97 team, I believe.
So April the 23rd. Yeah, that will be a Saturday noon. Yeah, noon start. So noon baseball, 1 o'clock spring football. So the Haskins death, Tommy, I mean, it's just a tragic deal. This guy's down there. Dwayne Haskins is down in South Florida working out with his teammates. He's going to battle Mitch Trubisky for the starting job with the Pittsburgh Steelers. All indications was that he was a really good fella. He was, showing good things, that it was going to be a true open competition in Pittsburgh. And his something happens with his car, he runs out of gas or something on the side of the road, and he tragically gets hit and killed. It was an accident. What was your reaction, and what did you think of when you heard it?
Well, Ronnie, I heard it when I walked into the Bruley walk-ons on Saturday, and you and Hunter were doing radio, and it was up on the screen, and you kind of told me, "Man, you see what just happened a short time ago?" And then, of course, I've read some stuff, and I mean, it's just a horrible story. It's awful. 24 years old, would have been 25 next in a couple of weeks, they said. And I don't know if some more details have come out yet, but just a terrible story for he got a wife. I don't think he had any children. And of course, the Steelers have reached out big time. He played for the Washington Commanders, and he was 3-10 as a starter there. And he's a key reason why Joe Burrow ended up at LSU, because he had emerged as the guy at Ohio State, which kind of prompted Burrow to look elsewhere, and of course landed at LSU. Burrow, one of the many NFL players that reacted on social media, about the tragic passing of Dwayne Haskins.
Let's see. I'm trying to see if there's any more new information. I'm trying to find here. There was I clicked on an article that said there was some new information. I think it was a little bit of a bait and switch here. Let me see. Yeah, it was it was a dump truck, which is what CNN reported, which is tragic. And he was on the side of a road, and the thing that, let's see, it says was struck and killed by a dump truck Saturday morning while trying to cross a highway on foot. And we don't know at this point, had he been drinking, anything like that, or what? But the incident happened at 6:30 in the morning, so he was probably on his way to go work out or something like that, which is just unbelievable.
I'm sure that information will come out.
It said he'd been walking on the highway for unknown reasons. This was yesterday. I'm sure we know. I think it was alleged he ran out of gas. And oh, by the way, that's something that, I joked about on Sports Shorts Radio before, is that I've run out of gas, Tommy, probably in my lifetime. Arguably at least 20 times, maybe 25 in my lifetime. And probably in the last 10 years, I've run out 10 times, which is retarded. I know. I don't have any excuse for it, but I guess, but the point is that things like this, these accidents that happen on the side of the road, I mean, it changes the way you feel about it, or the perspective. I probably won't be as nonchalant, because I've had some situations where I've been on the side of the road, and it could have easily been me. So terrible situation. It reminded me of Eric Andolsek, who's going into the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame this June. Eric Andolsek was a great player at LSU in the 80s, played the offensive line for the Detroit Lions. He was cutting grass on Highway 1 in Thibodaux, cutting his mom's lawn. He had earphones in, and while he was cutting grass, an 18-wheeler went off the side of the road and struck and killed him. And he didn't even see it coming. And this, to me, was just like that. Prime of his career. Dwayne Haskins was about to enter year 4 in the NFL. Tell us about Court Street Cafe before we get out of here.
Well, Court Street Cafe, Monday through Saturday, breakfast, lunch, dinner. Got red beans and rice for lunch today. Hey, when I got here earlier this morning, I had a bunch of people out on the patio in the cool weather eating their breakfast out there. They got numerous tables out front. Of course, they're getting ready for Easter weekend like everybody else. Court Street Cafe, 805 Court Street in Port Allen, just a couple of minutes over the Mississippi River Bridge. If you work downtown Baton Rouge, it's easy to get over here and get breakfast, get lunch, come get some dinner, steak night on Thursday. And they always put their specials up on Facebook and Instagram. So that's a great way you can keep up with all that stuff. So do that. Court Street Cafe in Port Allen. Again, hit them up on Facebook and Instagram, and that'll be a great way to keep up with things. Or come get some red beans and rice for lunch today.
All right. Well, TK and I'll be back on Wednesday. Don't forget, go to brrugaroo.com, help support the Baton Rouge Rougarou, and get your $100 season tickets for only $1 per person for a full family of 4. And we'll be back at Tremonti's Meat and Seafood on Wednesday. Till then, have a great one, and thanks to Sports Shorts. Thanks to all of our viewers and listeners. Please like and share this video. You've been watching Sports Shorts Daily, presented by LeBear.